We've got a very special CHGO Blackhawks show for you today. We're joined in studio by former Blackhawk and current YouTube influencer Brendan Perlini. Join us next on CHGO Blackhawks. Happy Wednesday. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. We appreciate you being here. I'm Jay Zawaski with Mario Tirabassi, and former Blackhawk Brendan Perlini is with us on set. Going to talk some hockey, going to talk some golf, going to talk when golfers fight hockey players, and a whole bunch more coming up. Before we start, do us a favor, hit that like button for us. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. And when you're done, head over to Brendan's YouTube page too. It's at BUBZP11, so BubsP11 is Brennan's page. Make sure you're following that and subscribe to that as well. But thanks for being here, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, boys. I appreciate it. Always nice to do it in person. I know we did it a year ago or whatever, so yeah, anytime you need me, I'll be around. Yeah.
I need to start with the fight. I'm sorry, I can't stop watching
to
the
your
video.
attention yesterday.
I have watched the video of the hockey fight on the golf course probably 60 times since it's happened.
Yeah, if you're unfamiliar, it's former NHLer Nick Tarnarski beating up some guy because he was
repeatedly
drunk.
I can't get over the when he's hitting the guy where he's like, boom,
bang,
bang. You know, like you got control of the situation when you're just doing that, right?
Yeah, I couldn't believe that.
I just love the immediate hocky instinct to grab the jersey and the pull and punch. Like, just to know you're in that much control of a fight.
He's been there before.
Yeah. What would you think when you saw that?
Oh man, it's number one. Like how many times I think I've wanted to do that, and like our group. But the thing is these days, like you never know who you're running into either, right? So I always like try and keep that in mind, and especially in some of these bigger cities in America where it's like, you know, like it's not worth, you know, saying something stupid, and then who knows, like somebody has something on them or whatever, regardless of
just be a peacemaker, right? Hey man, whatever.
Like,
just let us.
I was always like that on the ice. I was like, man, just let me score, dude. Get the heck out of the way. Like, what are you grabbing me for? Like, you know. So yeah, that was pretty wild.
Yeah, I saw something on whatever YouTube or whatever it was of a guy at a Bills game. These two guys were face to face, and the little guy, I'm like, oh, it's this little guy. And then it revealed he was a UFC fighter.
Oh, it's
like, good thing he walked away.
Yeah.
You know, man, it cracked me up.
It's just like you're on the golf course. Like, just chill out.
Yeah, just relax.
That's like the last place. Well, there's many worse places to fight. But like, as far as like you're just trying to enjoy yourself, like, why are you fighting on the golf course?
It's one of those things, too, for me as well. Like, golf is like, regardless of even how I play or whatever, it's like we're a big golf family, but that's like to get away from all the stuff for me. And then you're gonna go out there and start a brawl in a fight. It's just like, man,
throw a guy in a lake.
You know, go to a gym or something, or get your aggression out somewhere.
Right.
I don't know. But that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's the crossover worlds of hockey and golf that swept the nation yesterday.
Yeah,
pretty wild. Big news yesterday. Signed a contract with Lugano. What's the expectation and excitement?
Yeah, it was interesting how it kind of came about, really, too, because so I finished the year last year in Lausanne in Switzerland, which love Switzerland, like great place. I played over there just after my stint here with the Blackhawks, kind of around COVID time. The league shut down over here. I wanted to still get over and play. Managed to go play. I played like a half a season, not even, maybe, you know, a couple months at best, and loved it over there. I lived in Lugano, but I played for a different team. It'd kind of be like, you know, living by the Cubs Stadium and playing for the White Sox situation to, you know, make it easy for you guys to understand. Really loved it there. This past season, kind of wanted to do the Russia thing where I was like, you know what, I just want to see what it was like. I always, play with Anisimov, play with these guys like that, where they always talked about it. Sometimes good, sometimes really bad.
Sure, yeah.
You never really knew, and I'm one of those guys for just to experience life more so of like, okay, I think if I got to the end of my career and I had all these opportunities to go over there, why not just go and try it? I ultimately didn't work out. I didn't really enjoy it, the situation I was in. So I was like, boom, okay, left really quick, and like I said, finished in Switzerland. But where it kind of came, it was really weird. We went to the finals. I had like a really good finals and stuff. And then after, my agent was kind of saying to me like, we don't really have anything. So I was like, what? That's kind of weird. And to make a long story short, I personally started reaching out to teams, which I totally, for any guys out there listening or anything, like, whatever profession you're in, I think you should always kind of take it upon yourself. That's something I've learned over the course of like my hockey career is like, you want something done, you got to do it yourself, right? Yeah. And a lot of times, like for us in the industry, we rely on agents or this or that or whatever. So I started reaching out myself. Boom, we want to talk. The team, talked to the coach, who was he was our 4th assistant, I think, here. My second year. Swedish guy there. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but like under Colleton at the time.
Swedish assistant. Oh,
I'd have to.
Was it? Is it Samuels?
Thomas Mattel.
Yeah, Thomas Mattel.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's right.
I had a great chat with Thomas. We knew each other a little bit, but I was only here for like a month, and then I got traded when he was around. But I always had a good rapport with their GM. Tried to sign me like 3-4 years ago, and then at that point it was just like, man, I might as well just do the deal myself. Like they already want me and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I ended up just doing it myself, and it was really cool. Like learned a lot in the process of not having to rely on someone, and more so just taking it in your own hands, and then boom, over the course of 10 days, deal like that, which is crazy, right? So
and you cut out the middleman of the agent.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So if he's watching,
give yourself a 10% cut. That's nice.
But no, honestly, I mean, you guys know how it is, where it's sometimes relying on other people to waiting for that phone call is. You're going to be waiting until you're dead, right?
Right.
It's better to just, let me just make the call myself and, talk direct. So
what's the atmosphere like out there? Well, you mentioned like how close the cities are together.
Yeah.
Are the rivalries pretty intense?
So now I signed for the rival team. So I played for the other team, which was Ambry, and they're like notoriously some of the biggest, like craziest fans in a good way in the league. But to give you, I guess, a story, at that time, like when we were playing was COVID, like I said, and like no fans at the games or anything like that. We were playing them that night at home. So for pregame skate, like obviously nobody could show up. They stormed the building and pregame skate. I'm pulling my car in a parking lot. They're throwing flares at the car and stuff. And that was my like, whoa, this is welcome to the Derby. Like that's what they call it, right? The big Derby, but over there Derby. But it's so now I've signed for the rival team. Wow. So we'll see how that kind of goes. I've already received some messages online.
Yeah, you need like
you traitor, blah, blah,
you need a food taster or something when you
yeah. So, but no, it's really cool. Like actually I put out a YouTube video today of doing a dressing room tour for my team this past year, Lausanne, and I show a little clip at the end. So for anyone who kind of wants to see it, it's like flashes to the crowd, and they're all jumping and going crazy. Like they'll be like having a section like behind the home net at United Center where like the whole whatever it is be like 6,000-7,000 or something like that, in one section just going bananas. So it's really cool.
It's one really thing I wish that American sports fans would get more on board with, and you see it a lot in soccer. And I think you see some of the MLS fans try to bring that intensity to every game, but it's just not the highest level. But whenever I watch like Premier League or whatever, or World Cup, obviously, like to see the involvement, the fans are like part of the game. And I think it's got to be so cool to play for and against.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I like personally, I actually like playing. I like playing more against it, I would say. I always like, I don't know, to use, I guess, in wrestling terms for the guys just next door there, I like to be the heel, the bad guy. I don't know why that is. I always enjoyed, I think when I got around like junior age when I was playing in the OHL, I just loved like a silent building, you know. If you were the guy who just boom stick that dagger in, and so I enjoy it more playing away when their fans are going crazy, and then you either get whistles from them, they'll at you, and you know, like, okay, I'm doing something right here. I'm getting under their skin.
Yeah. That's how you know you're doing your job.
Really, like, you don't. The only, I would say, I don't know, college football or something is like,
yeah, it's close,
similar to an extent, but it's it's a whole different ball game over there. It's really cool. Like, totally makes your love for the game, like, you know, if you lost it all or anything, it's like a lightning bolt in your veins, honestly. Like, it really, when I heard them like pretty much every game showing out like that, I'm like, man, we got to win for these guys. Like, it was it was the first time in a long time I felt that.
And I feel like that comes from, like, you know, the nature of like soccer and how communities like rally around their teams and everything. And I have to imagine it's similar. Like, you know, you're saying like, oh, those cities are so close together. You're saying you're living in where basically Wrigley is, and then playing down by the Rate Field. It's just like, to us, it's just like, oh, there's Chicago, and then across the lake is Detroit, and then across the country is, you know, LA and stuff. And it's completely different, where, you know, you can have fans that are just spread out so far, but you have like a little pocket that's like, this is our team. That's where that like diehard kind of mentality comes from you know,
it's
more of
tough
a
too
European
over here, like,
setting.
I guess to shout out a friend of ours, Bob Ballard, who worked for if you guys know the BBC at all in England, they worked for them doing commentary for years. But he had said to me, my first year in the NHL, he was over in Boston and came watch the game. And after the game, I met up with him, and he's like, I noticed like not many people showed up for the away fans, eh? I'm like, Bob, we're in Boston. I play for Arizona. It's like on the other side. Like, there ain't no away fans traveling.
Right.
Like, not on the. And we play 82 games, like, in the NHL and NBA and these sports. So it's just not possible. Whereas over there in the hockey, there's like 50 games or something, and it's 4 hours from one side of Switzerland to the other. In a car or a train, right?
Right.
It's just totally different that way. Everything's so close over there, and I don't know. That's just like bred into all their sports. The soccer, the football.
It breeds that contempt too, is the proximity. It's like you don't see a lot of Cubs fans at Dodgers games, but when they play in Milwaukee, or you know, if they're doing interleague, if they're in Detroit or whatever, or St. Louis, there's always a lot of Cub fans travel, and Hawks fans you probably noticed playing for the Hawks that they would be Arizona, Florida, where all the Chicago people moved to escape the winters
when they retire.
they're pretty well full. But yeah, it's just such a huge chunk of travel. And like, I think people don't, as we talk about like the Premier League too, all these teams in England are bunched together. Like, what's the distance from border to border in England?
You spit and you end
up
like
on state.
the other team down there.
So they're all just crunched together. So it just adds to that intensity so much. So it's cool. I'd love to see it get there. And I think the Four Nations, we saw a level of intensity from hockey fans that we haven't really seen in a while. And curious what your thoughts were on the Four Nations.
Oh man, I was actually flying over the game of the final to Swiss, so I had it streaming on. I somehow managed on airplane Wi-Fi to get a stream going, and it would like go cut out, but loved it. Like, I don't think anyone was expecting that intensity of like all the fights there in the first game and stuff. Like, I thought it was great. I guess now it's like, okay, where do you go from here? Sometimes that's one and done, like, and they had this big run, and the NBA was in a down during that period because they did the All-Star game and it kind of sucked.
Yeah.
NHL was like on the rise, but how do you recapture that every year, right? Of like, that's the tough thing. And even like, I've had these conversations when I was actually at Team Canada. I went and played some games at the Worlds. Like, I did like the pre-Worlds with Team Canada, and so Sid and all these guys are there, and we were kind of chatting about it at dinner one night. And those guys had said, like, they wouldn't mind seeing Slovakia or this country in it or that country. But to me, like, personally, no disrespect to those countries or whatever, like you kind of already get that in like the World Championships. I'd like to see like different. I like the under 23s when they did it the last time.
Yeah.
I like the Team Europe or whatever. Just some different stuff. I think that's what like this provided, where it was like, whoa, we haven't had this in years. But now you can't just like keep doing the same thing every time.
Yeah.
Right? It's like keep interjecting.
I think. Well, let's take a break and we'll come back to it in a second here. We'll be back in 2 minutes on CHGO Blackhawks. Do us a favor, hit that like button for us, and we'll be right back.
Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. New customers can now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. You can sign up using the code CHGO, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get that $150 in bonus bets, whether your bet wins or loses. And it's baseball season, so with the Bet365 early payout offer, you're a winner if your team goes 5 runs ahead with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. So download that Bet365 app, use the code CHGO365, and you're going to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, never ordinary with Bet365. Must be 21 or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. Offer in-app only.
And Mario, you can ask any Chicagoan what the best weekend of the summer is, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to say Windy City Smokeout. There's no question about it. And guess what? It's back July 10th. That's tomorrow through the 13th. We're talking about 4 days of country music, ice-cold drinks, and all the award-winning barbecue your stomach can handle. That sounds like a challenge. Does it get more summer than that? I don't think so. Seriously, though, nothing beats an outdoor concert in July. So if you haven't already grabbed your tickets, Thursday and Friday are still available. Country's biggest stars like Bailey Zimmerman, Old Dominion, Cole Wetzel, and Dylan Gossett, are going to be lighting up the stage. So don't miss out on the best weekend of the summer. Grab your Thursday and Friday tickets now at WindyCitySmokeout.com. And CHGO is going to be out there all weekend. And there's always Blackhawks floating around.
Yeah,
if you
we'll send somebody.
Don't
there.
be weird, but you might see a Blackhawk.
Yep.
All right, we're back with Brendan Perlini here on CHGO Blackhawks. Do us a favor, hit that like button if you've not done it yet, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page. We were talking about the Four Nations face-off and the international play before we went to the break. I think the main part of why the Four Nations face-off worked was because the players bought in. You had guys who, because they very easily could have treated it like an all-star game or an exhibition and played at 80% and collected the money and been like, great, here we go. But from the moment that tournament began, it was intense. Everybody was bought in. And I think with anything that's so important. So I think the Olympics, I'm going to imagine, based on the last time the NHL was in the Olympics, it's going to be intense. They're going to be fired up and committed to it.
Yeah, totally. Like Olympics, I'm so glad they're going back to that, because I think it was a shame, like really without it, of just, and it's not even like, showcasing on a big stage or whatever, but I just think you got every other sport going and stuff, and the sport obviously still was there, but why not have the best guys be a part of it and stuff? And it's just different when you represent your country too on those kind of stages or whatnot. Like guys, it's not about money or whatever. Like, I don't know, they just take it a lot more personal. And they're, especially as being a Canadian, like, we don't want to lose to Americans. It's just the thing, and vice versa, right? Vice versa.
Yeah, you'll get used to it.
So that's my thoughts on it. But yeah, just as far as like Four Nations too, like I would love to see them keep kind of doing something where it's progressive, not just to like, okay, that worked with like these 4 teams or whatever, let's just roll those 4 teams. Like, yeah, do a young guys team, do something. There was even talk, like, you know, being a part of NHLPA meetings and stuff for years, there was a talk at one point of like guys being in, like, so for me, having dual citizenship of like, okay, if you have a dual citizen of like, I have English, let's put a bunch of those guys on a team together of like whoever's a dual. Duncan Keith had dual. He's got English.
Yeah, right.
Like there was like a bunch of there's some
that would have been fun.
There's some really quirky like ideas that I had heard thrown around, and I don't know. I mean, don't quote me on that or whatever, but that's just what I heard back in the day for the last one. So I mean, why not? Like,
I mean, you have to keep I think what we've seen with the Winter Classic is it started off, it was a great idea, and now it's just losing steam because, all right, the novelty of the outdoor game is sort of worn off. It is, I think the players still like being part of it, but it is truly a pain in the ass to new stadium, bring all your equipment, break in whatever fits the uniform. Like it's kind of a hassle for these guys to be. And I think this year's Winter Classic, the Hawks played like ass, which doesn't help. But just no one really watched. It was, and it's at Wrigley Field, and you had big name acts there, and it just did not have the appeal that it used to have. So you're right. Like, you've got a great idea. How are you going to build on it instead of just repeating it over and over and over again?
You're doing 5 outdoor games a year or
Right.
whatever,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, okay. Like,
Right.
It gets it gets watered down.
Yeah. I don't mind even like the Winter Classic of like just keep it at that.
Just
but,
that, yeah.
You know,
Right.
You start out in 8 stadium series games a year too. And you're like, all right.
Well, I think they learned their lesson. They started to cut it down. I think they just do the Winter Classic. The Heritage Classic is the Canadian one, and I think they do one other stadium. So I think they're down to like 3, which is fine. Yeah, I mean, you played in the one at Notre Dame. And,
I think guys do really enjoy it too, because it does, even though it's like I don't want to say it's like an inconvenience, it kind of gives you a little bit of a break outside the norm of the season, because like they fly all your family in. Like when we did it in Notre Dame there, they flew everybody in. It was like 1 or I think 2 days, not off, but like we practiced 2 days and then we did that. A lot of times you don't even really get those days. It's like game day off.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it was nice to be around everyone's family, and it felt a lot different. And I'll always remember it. I loved the experience of it. But yeah, it's again, one of those things where it's just innovating, right? And not being stuck in like, this is the All-Star game, this is the hardest, slap shot thing. It's like, don't be afraid to try.
I like years ago when they had the All-Star game set up where it was North America versus the world.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun to just kind of go back and try it again, and just kind of like tap into that, like things that you can kind of change up. And I know they did the 3-on-3 tournament that they changed up, but it's funny. I think the NHL has kind of like spun themselves into a challenge where, like you're saying, like they kind of have to like keep it fresh, so guys are interested in it, so fans are interested in it, and now you have the 4 nations and the tournament that it was. You kind of compare that and be like, how do you ever go back to what the All-Star game was before that? Because the 4 nations is like, that was almost in response to World Cup of Hockey went well, people wanted it back, and also people were kind of like over the All-Star game format. So now you're like, you can't do an international tournament every year. Like, I don't know. It seems like they're going to be having to spin their wheels with like some creativity on keeping things fresh.
Yeah, thankfully that's not up to us guys.
Right. Yeah. No.
But yeah,
We can just pitch ideas on a show like this.
With anything, with anything though, that's like, I think that's why the last All-Star game felt as bad as it did, because none of the players were super invested in it. And you get it, like it doesn't count for anything. And there's a cash prize, but you just throw it on the pile. You know what I mean? Like it's, I don't know. I think the 4 nations was a good start. Now building off that is going to be key. So I know you're not just hockey. You do a lot of the wrestling stuff, a lot of golf. Where did the wrestling bug start for you?
Obviously a little bit of backstory. I was saying to the boys off camera, because there's a little wrestling studio right beside, and I was like, I'm gonna have to jump in and do that one next. But I mean, been a fan since I was young. Like I think like every kid, you kind of watch it growing up, and I was growing up during like arguably the golden era, right?
Yeah.
The Rock, Stone Cold, all those guys. And then for years kind of like didn't watch and really dipped, and went through the process of actually met CM Punk out of my gym in Arizona. We're talking maybe 2016, 17-ish. It was right when he was getting into UFC.
Okay.
So they had sent like him, and there was maybe like 4 or 5 other fighters. Luke Rockhold. I forget who the heck the one guy was like a really big guy, but the gym was really, really cool out there. We'd have like anywhere from hockey guys, obviously I mentioned UFC, there'd be sprinters, there'd be triathlon, there'd be football guys, basketball, like from every walk of life. And so you'd always like, you know, kind of sit around like this, and you'd end up in these conversations in the lunchroom, like the meal room, because they'd do all your meals and all that stuff there.
That's cool.
And just ended up sitting down with him one day, and you know, we got talking. I knew who he was. Like, obviously, I didn't really know like he was doing the UFC thing as much. And then we just got into conversation. We were sitting here, literally watching the TV like this, and we got talking hockey. I think the Hawks were probably in the playoffs around that time. And like he started asking
probably
us
the
guys,
last time they
some behind the some behind the scenes stuff, like, you know, what's it like? What do you guys blah blah blah? And I ended up like asking him for a picture, and we got a picture in the dressing room and stuff. But you know, always kind of stayed in contact just online, and then obviously got traded here. Kind of messaged me, always, you know, just rooting me on. He's a big fan of the Hawks and whatnot, and we just would every now and then go back and forth online. And when he came back to wrestling, and that was right around, I think, summer of 21.
Yeah,
feels right.
There was like rumors going around big time, and so I had like kind of messaged him almost like is that true? And he didn't say anything, but it was kind of like a wink face back, and I'm like, oh, like I better tune into this.
Yeah.
Like, so seen him like come back, and that was with AEW at the time. And then just like he drew me back in. It was I just started watching, just because when you feel like you know someone too, right? There's like a bit of like way more investment. Like I'm almost like rooting for him just to like get back in and see how he is and stuff. And then I just honestly I follow his progress, and you know, he ended up leaving there and then going to WWE, and then just followed it a lot of the stuff you know, over the last, call it whatever, 2, 3, 4 years that he's been back now. So that's, and obviously it's really big these days, and with the Netflix thing and all that, like it seems to be more mainstream than ever right now.
It's the most, I would have to say probably the most eyes globally that it probably could be.
I would imagine they're doing all the international stuff too, and it's huge. I'm kind of the same as you. Like I grew up, so I'm 47. So I grew up watching Hogan and Warrior and Savage, and dropped off, and then I came back. In high school, I watched like the Yokozuna era, and Bret Hart, like when they were the two best, and then dropped off, and then the Attitude Era happened when I was in college, and that was like communal viewing experience. Girls, guys, athletes, nerds, everybody got together to watch Raw. It was like a campus happening when Raw was on. Everybody had Austin 316 shirts on. Like it was huge.
I should have wore it today. I got a Chicago 316 shirt.
Perfect. Yeah, but like
save that for the wrestling podcast.
But it has these arcs, and you know, these dips, these arcs, these dips, these arcs. But I feel like the arc it's been on over the last 10 years or so has been pretty steady.
Yeah, it's been growing for sure. Yeah, I was the same way. Like I was a kid with, you know, the Attitude Era, and dipped off just a little bit after that, but then like John Cena's like you know, ascension kind of hooked me back in, and then, you know, it was just kind of one of those like background things that I never really felt like I was like a super wrestling fan, but I've always like liked wrestling.
I feel like most wrestling fans are kind of like that, right?
Like unless you have like
people like pretend they're like, I don't really. Yeah. Behind the scenes, they know exactly what's going on.
Right? I just like the history. It's like the traveling circus. Like everybody's married to each other, and it's the story, like the lore of wrestling is almost more interesting than the actual product. But
I find it funny too how you can you can not watch for like months, years, tune into one show, and you know exactly like you can pick up of like, okay, he's going against him, this guy, that guy, and it, like, you know, it's
storylines.
It's pretty easy to follow, right? In that regard, it's not like a TV show, Breaking Bad, where you jump, you know, 3 seasons in, you don't know what's going on or who the character. Like, you can pick it up really easy. So credit to them, they did a pretty awesome job with that. And I do want to say too that I feel like the AEW side of like them coming in, them providing like the alternative product, so to speak, like that really made me interested too, of just seeing all these guys I never even heard of before and how talented they are, and seeing it like in a different way, right? Instead of like the WWE stuff was just, you know, for a while it was like it was so raw when we were not to, no pun intended.
Yeah, really though.
When we were younger, but
Yeah.
then went through that phase where it was just like, man, this is like kid stuff, of like whatever during the 2010s era, and seeing the AEW side, it feels that more like
grittier.
raw, a little bit more grittier. You see these really cool guys, and the coolest guy I've seen. I went to last year. What do they do? The show here, I think it's All Out.
Yeah.
They do here. I went to that in September, early September, and watched that the kid Will Ospreay. Oh my God, man, this guy is good. Like, he moved like nothing I've ever seen before, and it's really cool to experience. Just an alternative thing to see these guys where I wouldn't know who normally he is.
Well, it's good. It's good too because it pressures WWE to be better.
Yeah,
you know.
Like, sure.
Well, we had Kyle Fletcher on the show.
Yeah.
A while back. Yeah, just I think it was probably promoting that show.
Yeah.
Might have been coming to town, and just like getting to talk to him and hear his story. Like I had not heard of him until they were like, "Hey, Kyle, he's gonna be on the show." I was like, "Okay, cool." And then just like, all right, I'm like you were saying before, like when you get to know somebody, you have an interaction with them, you want to cheer for more. I'm like, all right, now I'm checking in on what he's doing.
Yeah, dude, it's so funny you bring him up. I literally. A friend texted me yesterday about he's a big wrestling guy, and he said congratulations on your new contract, blah blah. And the second thing he said is like, oh, you watching what's the big show? I think it's All In or something.
They're doing in Texas.
Yeah, in Texas. He said, you gonna watch that? And I'm like, I didn't really know if I'll have time or whatnot, but I said, I just caught up on a couple episodes, and I said I was super impressed by that Kyle Fletcher, like. I knew him, like I watched his early stuff, and and then now he's like shaved his head, he's gone full heel and all that. I'm like, holy man, like this guy's like really in this. So that's really cool. Yeah, you brought him out. I swear to God, I can grab my phone and I was just texting about him yesterday. So shout out to him.
Yeah. All right, well, you got
to do a duo on the show.
You got to connect us with CM Punk, and we'll connect you with Kyle Fletcher. And
sure.
There we go.
All right, we got to hit the break zone. We'll be back with more hockey. Everyone's mad. Jeez Louise, it's July. We will get back to pucks in 120 seconds. Hit the like button for us.
Good math. Are you looking to buy, sell, trade, or open packs of cards? Well, why not check out our friends at Arena Club? They're changing the hobby with their transparent slab packs and no-fee auctions. You got to check out those slab packs. You can open up a pack as low as $25 and hit on a card that's worth tens of thousands of dollars. Every pack has grails that are at least 20 times the price of the pack.
Dang.
Arena Club is the most trusted name in the game because they offer full transparency. They show you every card that's in the pack with the likelihood of pulling each one, so you know exactly what is available before you buy. So whether you're buying, selling, trading, grading, or ripping packs, Arena Club is the safest, most trusted in the game. And if you're going to the National Sports Collector Convention, be sure to stop by the Arena Club booth. That's happening July 30th through the August 3rd at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center. And right now you can get 20% off of your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/CHGO using the code CHGO.
And just like your home team needs a home ice advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and there's no better place to get it than with our friends at Empire Today. They have flooring experts, dedicated flooring pros. They are focused on flooring and nothing but flooring in their lives. A lot of them, personal lives, ruined. They're too obsessed with flooring. They just can't. The families have
disintegrate,
left.
and
There's
it's
two,
just
we're leaving you behind. You're too focused on flooring. Well, this is the life I've chosen. I work for Empire Today, damn it. Leave if you don't like it. Empire Today is your best bet for a new floor. They bring the showroom right to your home. You can pick the right flooring and the right colors for your space. See how it looks with your furniture in your house with your dog hair. It's great. With Empire Today, you get clear upfront pricing. So schedule a free no estimate. You'll get a $350 discount with code CHGO. That's right, $350 off with code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/CHGO for details. Yeah.
Yes.
That's Kyle
Hello,
Davidson.
we're back.
KD is Kyle Davidson.
KD is Kyle Davidson. Yeah. I mean, the one thing I know, the one thing I know our audience wants us to hear about more than pro wrestling is basketball.
All right, we got to get back to everyone's mad. Sam and D. Paris and Blake, they're all mad at us. So, what's your favorite power play? Come on, guys. We do 5 shows a week every year. We could take a 10-minute wrestling break. It'll be okay. All right, I got a couple questions from the chat here. Our buddy Windy City Hockey says...
a jersey aficionado himself.
Yes. Didn't you keep your Winter Classic jersey you scored in from it getting taken off auction? You still have that jersey?
Yeah, kind of. I don't know. To be honest, man, I don't know. I thought I did. So the story kind of goes, I'll keep it somewhat quick. I thought I took the one that I scored in. But somebody seemed to scan it somehow. They got a picture online and said, no, that's not the one you got. So somebody sort of called me out on it a little bit because I think there's a little scan thing inside.
Code or something?
Yeah. But I don't know. I thought that was the one that I had worn or I worn.
For like the Winter Classic, do they have you guys wear a jersey?
You
for
wear
each
4
period?
jerseys.
Or,
one in warm up, first, second, third.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
And I could have sworn I took it, threw it straight on. Unless in between periods somebody noticed it or something or whatever. I don't know, but from my perspective, I have the one.
Yeah.
So
hey, you know what? You wore it in a game you scored in. That counts enough.
Right.
Yeah. I definitely still have the stick. I can tell you.
Yeah.
That. I did
right.
2 fresh ones. I wrote specific thing on the knobs at the top, so I definitely have those 2.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then Peyton says, "Do you guys think Evan Rodriguez is going to the Hawks?" I don't think so.
Probably not.
No.
I think I got to switch on my Blackhawks brain here. I think what the organization is trying to do, what Kyle Davison is trying to do, is as we've seen as this offseason has gone on, as the draft has gone on, as free agent has gone on, and they've added pretty much nobody. They're investing in their own players, they're investing in their guys, and they have a trust in those players to become something at the NHL level. So I don't really think that they're gonna go too far outside the box. I mean, we've been hearing they might still add a depth veteran defenseman or a depth goalie like that, but I don't think there's, as much as it would be fun if they go out in the trade market and make something happen that we're not expecting. I don't see it.
No. And I saw Elliot Friedman said they were not thrilled with the way things went with veterans last year, so that's why they're going young. So there you go.
Sure.
There's hockey talk. See, I do want to ask you about your former teammate Jonathan Toews making a comeback after years away. What do you expect?
Oh man,
how tough would that be to just restart the engines after 2 years?
Yeah. You know what? If anyone could do it, it's him. Number one, the guy's so dedicated to his craft and just becoming better. He definitely seems like one of those guys of when he sets his mind to something, he's gonna do it. So. Still keep in contact with Taser over the last year or two, especially since he stepped away. I kind of, just as a friend, just checking in of how you doing, whatever. And so he'd give me updates. He's in India, then he's this place. And it was actually quite funny because I had seen he was in Costa Rica, and I was going down to Costa Rica, just missed him by, I don't know, a few weeks or a month or something. So I texted him hey, look where I am in Costa Rica. And then a couple months later, when it came out about it broke on TSN or something. He's coming back. He's training. He's doing this. He's doing that. So I just texted him and said man, good to see you. You're coming back or whatever. And he texted me, and he was at the beach in Costa Rica surfing. and so it's kind of a funny thing, right? Of everyone's he's currently working out. He's training right now. And he's hey, look where I am.
Yep, I'm surfing.
Currently surfing.
Man. Totally, I wish him nothing but the best. Honestly, Taser is the best. He looked out for me so much when I was here, and can't thank him enough for the lessons that he taught me and just being around him and learning from him every day. Honestly, one of the better human beings I've met for sure.
It's kind of where I was hoping you would go, because there's so much lore around Jonathan Toews, and as we look back at the dynasty in hindsight, it's Brent Seabrook was really the vocal leader, and Toews was a lead by example guy. What was it like sharing a locker room with, at least 3 Hall of Famers and 4, Hossa, Keith, Toews,
Hossa
and
wouldn't have been on that team.
Kunitz, you arguably add Kunitz into that as far as Olympics, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Crawford,
right?
There were so many guys, and it was kind of, I guess, surreal in a sense of you grow up watching these guys. and then you're all of a sudden a part of it, and they're kind of looking to you for of like, hey, we know that we can't do it all, and we're gonna need you, which is a really interesting feeling. But it's really really cool where like, I had played in Arizona in the past, and obviously got traded from Arizona there, and Arizona felt like it was a lot more individual, of like, you didn't really, I don't know, older guys kind of hung out with older guys, younger guys with younger guys, European guys together. When I came here, it was like, no, like when we go out to eat, Toews gets, hey, I got a table for 15 or 20 or whoever wants to come can come if we're out on the road in LA or St. Louis or wherever we are, right? And that creates like that, that tightness. And I was always in like, I just got traded there. I don't know any of these guys or whatever, but right away it was like, no, you're coming out to dinner. And so it was so great by like, and you could just tell all of them like understood that. And it was said to me by Toews, and I forget, I think we were stepping off the plane, and I had mentioned this in one of my YouTube videos too. We had this chat where, we're literally get back from road trip, and we're like, everyone's jumping in their cars, driving home. And, he's like, hey, what's wrong? Like, I know there's something kind of, bothering you right now. And I kind of just spilled it. And we're on the runway, basically, right? And me and him just talking. Only 2 guys left around. And said, like, man, I don't know what my role is here. I don't know what to do. I'm not getting any feedback from coaches. I just kind of keep doing what you're doing. And I'm like, honestly, I have no idea. I'm kind of floating in the wind. Sometimes I do this, sometimes I do that. They get mad if I do this, but, they tell me to go play my game, and then when I play my game, they're mad about it. I'm like, I have no direction. And so he gave me a full direction of like, look, I don't know what those guys like direction-wise, but this is what I need from you as the captain, as the leader, like, and really of like, hey, at some point, trust me, I can't do it every game. Kaner can't do it every game. He went like down the list. He's like, we're going to need you. Like, we don't know when that's going to happen, but we're going to need you. And when he said that, it was like, man, I'll do anything for this guy.
Yeah.
And I ended up going on a run. I scored, I think I had like 9 goals in 6 or 7 games and won like NHL Player of the Week close to in March time. Yeah. And that was my time where it was like, we need you for this playoff push. And boom, boom, boom. Like, so it's very, very interesting, right? Like,
I mean, cool. It's stories like that I think, people sometimes believe happen, like you're saying, like the lore of Toews, and it's just like that's kind of what goes into, that leadership role, and what goes into like keeping a team together. And it can be difficult when you're in different situations. And it kind of felt like at the time, through the heyday of the Hawks, like they had like so many guys that you could say like, oh, they would have been captains on any other team, but it still like always felt like, even with all those guys around, like it still started with Jonathan Toews at the top. And like, it's
can I say
it's
just
always
quickly
interesting
too,
to hear
for
that
people out there
perspective.
like who are watching or listening, that's the old like notion, right, of like this guy can be a captain, that guy can be a captain. Like there's like being a captain, and then there's actually being one, and they're 2 very different things. I've played for guys where it's like technically the best player is the captain or whatever, or a guy who's been tenured there for the longest, but he's not the leader. And it's a very different thing. Like guys who are like, like a Toews or Shane Doan was unbelievable at it. Doner was so great. Like I loop a lot of those guys into that same category, have the aura around them. I got to see a little bit of that with Sid, where with Team Canada this year, it was like you had all these sort of like superstars, if you will. And when Sid came walking in, it was just like, you could tell everyone was like, looking like, oh, what's Sid doing? Like, what is it, like, how's he tie his skates? It's just totally different. And you can stick a C on someone's chest, but it doesn't mean that they're the leader, which is Toews and those kind of guys really had that.
I mean, that's as great a story about Jonathan Toews as I've ever heard, because there's a lot of stuff like on the ice, and he had this great moment, but to take a guy who's new on the team, not part of the core that's been there all along, and been like, dude, what's up? Like, I'm noticing something's up with you. That's the sort of thing that, like, that is so meaningful. And
Like, even, can I just say,
Yeah.
here's another quick one for you. And I might have even told this last year. Even I scored my first NHL hat trick against the Coyotes. Like, just got traded, and then we played them a couple months later and scored against them first time playing against them. For the last goal, like, I probably could have had 5 that game if you watch the highlights. I shot 1, it sat on the goal line somehow.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I was flying that game. But it was kind of like, and I could feel it. My momentum was like slipping through the third, where I'm like, I started squeezing it a bit tight to get the hat trick. I really wanted it. And it was about 5 minutes left. I went out. Then I came back, then there's 3 minutes left, went out again, and I came back, and I'm like, that's probably it. I probably won't get another one. And I heard Taser on the bench, like, he turned around to Colleton and looked at him, and he was like, hey, get 11 back on the ice. I think he called, like, Taser's line or something like that, and he's like, no, get him on the ice. And Taser gave me the look, and I went back out, and then sure enough ended up scoring it. And it's like, that's the type of guy
That's awesome.
he is, you know what I mean? That's a proper, like he knew that meant a lot for me. Those guys don't need any, they've done all their stuff.
Right,
and,
yeah.
But he created, I guess, a moment in life that I'll never forget, for sure.
All right, well, you're leading us there, probably unintentionally, but, like, what was the Jeremy Colleton situation like? Was it – because we have this idea that it was a complete clown show. Because I will say, in fairness to Jeremy Colleton, this is a guy who's made head coach at age 36 to come into a room with Hossa, Keith, Seabrook, Toews, Kane, like
to follow Joel Quenneville.
To follow Joel Quenneville.
Yeah.
Like, it's an impossible task, but, like, what was it like that under Colleton? Was it just...
Man, especially being older now and understanding a lot more about that, like, I sympathize for him of coming into I don't want to call it hostile, but a environment where a lot of athletes have had prior success under one style of play. So to come in and now say, we're going to do something different is tough, especially when you're a young guy who's same age as a lot of the players. Yeah. Maybe you don't already have the pedigree of winning Stanley Cups as a coach or whatever, or even just being a coach in the NHL. I sympathize for him a lot in that regard of having to, try to piece things together. I don't know a lot about coaching in that way. So, when you're managing 20 guys, I can only imagine. But, it's just like I would have liked to seen, and been a part of Joel's style and just seeing what it was like and seeing the differences. I think where I was coming from Arizona too was it was very like kind of muddled. We had Rick Tocchet and he had just like kind of come in and so you had a lot of moving pieces in Arizona. So it didn't feel too unfamiliar to come in where it was like, okay, yeah, a lot of kind of stuff going on to me. So honestly, I might be not the best person to even ask about that because I don't know the prior experience of Joel or someone like that around, and even somewhat to an extent of the new guy there. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Jeff Blashill.
Of Blash. Like I had Blash in Detroit, and it was he had been there a long time, so you kind of just hear things, but you're in and out so quick that sometimes it's like. Sometimes you don't even like. I don't even really remember. If you were to ask me, like, "Oh, what was your experience with Blash?" I don't even really remember.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, it was quick with like the COVID year and stuff, and so we stopped. So and I came in November, and I remember him like we were just. I think for everyone, you're at a downward spot. Like Detroit, we were in the bottom of the basement that year, and it was going down and down. It was a sinking ship. So, it's just. It's hard to even judge people based off of that because everybody's in that. You know what I mean? So even if like a lot of people say, "Oh, like to me, you didn't have a great year with the Red Wings." Nobody had a good year with the Red Wings that year. All the way down from coach, GM, put the owners in that thing too. So it's hard to like judge someone based off of that, right? But
one of the things is the Hawks like rebuild is. I think we're finally getting to the point where it starts to ascend a little bit.
Hopefully.
It will be another tough year next year because they're going so young. But do you think when you're part of a team like that is, hey, we're the youngest team in the league. Our best years are ahead of us. We're all in this together. We're all going to be here when it turns around. Does losing through a season like that feel a little better, at least knowing, hey, like, this is our group, we're getting better together, and in 2-3 years, we know we're going to be right where we need to be? Is that easier?
That's a great question. That's a very interesting one, because I've been through that in Arizona.
Yeah, right.
You guys are myself, Domi, Murph, Connor Murphy here, Ekman Larson, Strome, Chikrin.
Yeah.
We've been through that where it's, hey, you guys are
you're the next one.
Within 2-3 years, boom, 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 we're all gone. So it's
true.
It's a tough one sometimes of, like, you know, player wise, when you're being told one thing and then another happens.
Yeah,
so if an organization or whoever it is can be 100% truthful and, like, hey, and I understand things change. Like, I'm not going to not say, like, oh, you have to stick with these guys for 5 years and that's it. But the hard thing as a player is, like, knowing that, where it's constantly like, all right, you know, they're saying this, but they just ship Johnny out of here or whatever, whoever it is. Like, so, it's, you know, it can become very like, okay, well, I'm playing for my life right now. So how do you play for the team if you're playing for your own life? You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is, it's a hard go. It's a hard go. So, hopefully, I mean, you know, they can create at least a bit of synergy and you know, really get just you need strong older pros. So I understood what they did last year with Maroon, a lot of those guys, and, like, it's so valuable having those guys around. So yeah, hopefully it can just build them up and all the young guys, and, you know, hopefully they can flourish in years to come.
On defense, they've got Murphy, and then the next oldest is Alex Vlasic, who's 24.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like that's he's one of the veterans. We have him. He's a part of our show.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm one of the veterans on his team now. It's crazy.
Just 2 years into his NHL
but
career.
they've still got Foligno, Dickinson, Bertuzzi, Teravainen, Donato. So they've got some veterans, you know, to help lead it, I hope. But I don't know. It feels like KD, not Kevin Durant, Kyle Davidson, is like really, really married to these prospects. Yeah. And he is, like, if he did nothing this year in free agency, it kind of shows he's like, nope, these guys are ready. Let's go. Good. So he feels committed.
Yeah.
So I think
that's great.
And I think the players see that too. Like, instead of bringing in some third-tier bum just to fill a spot, hey, I'm going to give it to this prospect to earn it. I hope that makes them feel like, all right, this is the group.
Yeah.
You know,
well, that's good. And it's always like, it's hard to say too of, like, that you want a long leash, but in the same, you have to make mistakes to learn. You know, like if you have an extremely short leash where it's like, this guy, oh no, he did this again, back down to the minors or whatever. It's like, the guy's going to be walking on eggshells. Yeah, he's never going to be himself because you don't want to make a mistake. You know, so and that's what I dealt, like, you know, with that in my career. And when I was here, like, with the Taser Talk, not to be confused with TED Talks, Taser Talk.
I go to one of those instead.
Yeah, I you know, without swearing, I basically just said, F it. Like, whatever happens, happens. I'm just going to go do my thing. And then, you know, I played free and it opened up and boom, boom, boom. I ended up, you know, having a really good run. And yeah, it's a hard thing to navigate, you know, of those inner workings in the organization there. But yeah, hopefully they can, look, I love the organization. You know, they treated me so well during my time here, and got nothing for love for them and stuff. And hopefully I'm doing a little bit of TV stuff now, so maybe the shout out to them, get me on TV.
Oh, they're always watching.
Yeah, get some post game.
Whenever we say something they don't like, we hear about it, so don't worry about it. Don't worry. Hi Blackhawks.
Get me on the games. I'll do the analytics and stuff or whatever in between periods. So,
Yeah, I think that, you know, there is something to be said for when, you know, a player of any age, whether they're, you know, rookie or, you know, 15-year vet, like, if they feel comfortable where they're at in their situation, you know, in their, just even in, like, in the city, like, it can make a big difference with their play, because it's just like, you know, having that chat with Toews is just kind of like, okay, well, now I have more of an understanding. You probably felt a lot more like a weight off your shoulder almost to then go out and feel more comfortable when you're in those settings, when you're at practice, when you're on, you know, in the games. And I think to, like, with Chicago, like with Connor Bedard, like there's a ton of pressure put on him being the number 1 overall pick, being the player that, they tanked to get the, chance to get him in the lottery and everything. And then he comes in and leads the team in scoring as a 18 and 19-year-old, and there's still pressure on him to even do more and be better. So I'm thinking, like, with the going into this season, like there's more of his peers around him. There's more of the guys that, like, that weight is going to be on their shoulders as well. Like maybe that can kind of unlock a little bit of him and give him some more comfort third year in the NHL, like finding out things like you were saying, like you make mistakes, you find out what does and doesn't work. Like that could be something that unlocks him this year.
Look at Edmonton, right? Like how many they had, God, 10 first overall picks.
Yeah. Right,
like,
right.
Yeah. So it's like it doesn't. These things don't just happen overnight, right? And even, it's funny because I talked to a friend of mine the other day. I'm not going to name drop him right now just for safety in his job or whatever, but within the organization on, analytical side and whatnot. And we were just talking, there's so many things that go into, okay, this guy, we're going to get this guy analytics-wise because he forechecks really well. He recovers pucks, and Bedard needs more pucks or whatever. But the human side is also there too of like, okay, yeah, we bring this guy in. Well, why didn't that work? Guy's wife doesn't like the city. They never lived in a big city before. There's all these external factors that go, right? And it's, like anyone out there who's listening, it's tough to just pick up and move and settle in an area. And there's a lot of things that go into it. So,
well, you did the video about, being traded and everything and like how in an instant you're going from cooking dinner with your family to
we were
packing up an apartment.
Thanksgiving dinner, and then I was on the flight here. I never lived in a big city before, so it was just weird being around concrete all the time. I had grown up with green grass. A place to get out and walk, and that really, for me, was always a big thing for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's good to hear at least, that the Hawks, when you were here, treated you well. And we talk a lot about, people say, well, why does anyone want to come to Chicago? They're in last place. In your opinion, I don't want to speak for you, but they've got a pretty good reputation around the league as a place where players generally want to be in terms of, accommodations, right? Like Fifth Third is great, meals, opportunities for kids who might want to play hockey, like that sort of thing.
Let me just say this real quick. Like I know we don't have too much time left, but their accommodations as far as like United Center, home of Michael Jordan and all, on the hockey side of everything they've done there, number one. Like I think I played my third NHL game here, second or third, and it was just like, whoa, this is a different level. And so, you have that element. The city's gorgeous, like so many restaurants, food, whatever. Like it's awesome that way. There's so many benefits to playing in a city like this for a lot of guys, and besides the fact of even just like the facilities and all that stuff are awesome, and you get treated really well. Great people in the organization. I know a lot's changed in the last couple of years, but honestly, it's like original six, but it's different. It's in a total different category, like than the other organizations I played in, and that's not any knock on the other organizations because I love Edmonton too, but it was just the way the people treat you in Chicago was like next level for sure. Yeah,
it's good. It's good to know. That's because I do think that sometimes fans are like, look at the standings, no one's signing here.
Right. Yeah.
I think when given a year or two, when this core does start to ascend, and Foligno will be out of contract, Connor Murphy will probably be gone. There's gonna be some spots open for some big name players, and I feel pretty confident that when they see what's happening here, they'll want to jump on, just like Hossa did when he's like, oh, wait a minute. That team is on a rise. I'm going to jump on that.
Yeah. Well, like that's the best example. How do you go from leaving Datsuk and Zetterberg and all those guys?
Right,
like guaranteed get far in the playoffs to like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, he saw it. He saw it coming.
And he almost stayed in Pittsburgh when they went to the Cup final and then ended up going to Detroit.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, Brendan, we appreciate you being here, man. Tell people where to find your YouTube channel, where to find you on social media.
Yeah, for sure. So at BubsP11 on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, YouTube. I'm going to be putting out content weekly. I drop every week at 11 Eastern time, so 10 Central. Every Wednesday I kind of rotate. I'll do a few hockey and then the odd golf one if you're a golf fan out there too. So check those out. And more stuff to come, and hopefully, be back with you guys a few times as well.
Oh, sure.
It'd be great
anytime.
if the Hawks don't hire you first.
Look for me on the TV there soon.
There we go. Yeah.
Well, hey, if
we
you,
get it on record.
If you're you got it on record, oh man, we got to get that as a drop. I'm sure you have played Cog Hill before.
I have, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
August 22nd, if you're not doing anything.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm going to be gone. Yeah, we started up early.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
I'm gone in the start of August.
All
yeah.
right.
Next summer we'll
We'll
get
just
you.
settle for Vlasic, I guess.
Yeah, we'll just try and get him on. Yeah. But yeah.
All right.
Anytime you want to golf.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah,
boys.
for sure.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
man. We appreciate it. Thanks to everybody for watching. If you have not hit the like button yet, please do so on your way out. Make sure you're following Brendan on all of his socials like we mentioned. And we'll talk to you tomorrow at 2 right here on the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.